have a theory that explains every single bit of lore that Minecraft has, and it's been in the works for multiple years. Today, it's finally time for this theory to see the light of day. Let's start with this theory started, the Soul Sand Valley. The Soul Sand Valley is one of the most interesting nether biomes, and it is central to my theory, for a reason you'll see in a second. Let's take a look at what makes up the Soul Sand Valley. First, we have the giant skeletons. The skeleton structures are giant skeletons made of bone blocks that are extremely common in the Soul Sand Valleys, and can very rarely spawn in the overworld. Then we have the soul soil, a brown and sandy soil, which is only found in Soul Sand Valleys. Then there's soul sand. Soul sand is very similar in color to soul soil, but it has swirls on the texture. Then there's the normal skeletons you would find in the overworld. Together, these features tell a story, one that is very clear to me, and I hope that this video can make it clear to you as well. The skeletons and soul sand imply that many deaths occurred between multiple species, because there's both human and whatever the giant skeletons were. And I believe this event was a battle between humans and monsters. Alright, so let's set the scene. A giant civilization in the overworld discovers how to create nether portals, and they establish colonies. These colonies soon discover that there are piglins, and they establish trade routes with them, which is why the piglins have items from the overworld like saddles and chains, etc. However, almost immediately, these colonies were attacked by monsters, and a battle ensued. The battle was won, and the monsters were wiped out, but at a great cost to the humans. So, the human bodies decayed, and the souls seeped into the ground below, which also explains the giant skeletons, which were the death monsters. The soul sand is, well, the souls from the dead seeping into the ground, and the soul soil is terrain that had souls from a lesser degree. Now, our story doesn't end here, because there's a lot left to explain, and boy, do I have an explanation for you. So, as the surviving humans tended to their wounds, one of them lit a fire, and in the base game, no extrapolation here, when you light a fire on soul sand, you get a soul fire. I believe that one of the humans lit a fire, and that fire released a large portion of the souls in the Soul Sand Valley. This created the Wither Storm. Now, going to the Wither Storm might seem crazy, but think about it. There's so many souls being released that they form like a cloud of anger and resentment and death, and this Wither Storm fits that description perfectly. So the Wither Storm expanded quickly, and turning any humans or skeletons that it touched into withered husks that came alive. Any surviving humans fled to the overworld, and what happened was the Wither Storm followed them there. In the nether, they left behind clouds of souls of humans that did not want to fight back, but could not escape the nether, which is what ghasts are. In the overworld, the Wither Storm rushed through the portals, and they fled. Now, it wasn't just the soul storm that was deadly. It was the fact that any person who died to it would immediately have their body possessed by the souls and fight against the humans. Now, there's evidence for this in the fact that when villagers get killed by a zombie, they turn into zombie villagers. This is because when the villager dies to the zombie, the soul leaves the body, which makes the souls in the air have a place to go to, and so they possess the villager. This also explains why potions have inverse effects on undead mobs. When an undead mob is healed, it's not healing the body, it's healing the soul. So the soul of whatever got pushed out is strengthened. Its connection is strengthened, and so therefore the possessor is weakened. The extreme on this is when a villager can be cured. When the mob is weakened but given a golden apple, the possessor is pushed out, and the connection is strengthened enough that the original soul can come back. Now that we've addressed that, let's go back to the story. The Wither Storm had just gotten to the overworld, and the people were fleeing. Some of them fled to the oceans. That is why we have shipwrecks, because the Soul Storm destroyed the shipwrecks. However, before they were destroyed, they discovered how to make conduits. Now, something that really surprised me when I first heard about this fact is that conduits actually attack hostile mobs. And the reason I believe this fits into the story is because they were created not only as a way to survive underwater, but also as a defense mechanism. So, conduits harvest the energy in the souls around it and use it as both a way to survive underwater and as a way to defend themselves against monsters. So, that explains why the conduit is made with the heart of the sea, because conduit harvests the power in the souls around them and channels it through the water, exactly like a heart would. And so they built underwater structures. However, again, they could not survive long enough, as any of the dead got possessed by the Wither Storm and slowly began to outnumber the humans, and they perished. The only thing that was left behind were their defense machines, possessed by the souls who also turned against them, but they also turned against the drowned. However, not all of them fled to the oceans. Some humans fled underground, where there were two separate factions. Some of them dug close to bedrock, building giant cities, while others built small fortresses to try to survive any attacks to the underground. There were scientists in the underground cities, and those scientists were experimenting with souls. And what they found was that if they injected souls into glow lichen, they would create skulk. Think about it. Skulk is a lichen that grows deep underground that faintly glows. That's exactly the same as glow lichen, except the skulk spreads fast. The reason that skulk is able to spread so fast is because it absorbs the XP that monsters drop when they die. I believe that the XP is another form of souls that are dropped when anything dies. So they realized that instead of spawning zombies when somebody died near skulk, the skulk would simply spread. And so what they did was they tried to spread as much skulk around their cities as possible. However, one day, I believe that they discovered how to create shriekers. And when they discovered that, they accidentally spawned a warden. And it was a massacre. However, those who survived realized that the warden could defend them as long as they were able to hide from it. And so they spread the shriekers too. This is why there are so many shriekers and so much skulk in the ancient cities. Now, let's talk about the stronghold. The stronghold, I believe, was probably the most successful. They did experiments, they had libraries, they had prison cells. They were pretty much just a normal civilization, but underground. And they, using information about skulk, were able to create a portal. They went through the portal and discovered the end. I'm going to cover the end in a later video, but for now, let's just talk about the last group of people. I believe that some people were able to survive on the surface. They dug little encampments, they built encampments on the surface, and these encampments are what we now know as the Trail Ruins. Initially, their civilizations were small, but they were able to discover how to harness the souls for their own benefit. They were able to discover how to create golems. Those golems were made by infusing the souls around them with iron and giving the souls a body to defend themselves with. However, soon something devastating happened. After hearing rumors of a civilization underground, they sent an expedition down. This expedition was detailed on Disc 5. Disc 5 tells the story that somebody went down into the caves and accidentally let loose a warden. It starts with marching sounds in a cave. These marching sounds, I believe, were the expedition from the surface down. However, when they came down to the ancient city, they did not know how silent they needed to be. And so they let loose so many wardens, and that ended up killing not only the expedition team, but any of the survivors in the ancient cities. On the surface, the villagers became villagers. They built houses, and with the iron golems to defend themselves, they could survive. However, some became more greedy, and eventually they split off from the rest of the villagers. They spent their times inside and eventually discovered how to use magic for their own good. They were able to manifest the evil souls from the air around them into vexes. These vexes were able to face through walls because they were souls, and they conducted raids on the villages. However, the iron golems, for the most part, were able to defend. Meanwhile, some villagers were able to discover how to use magic to enchant their tools. They became so reliant on their enchanted tools and the iron golems and their magic that they slowly lost their need for violence. They put their arms in their sleeves as a sign of peace, which is why it's impossible for villagers to fight back when a player attacks. I know this video seems short, but trust me, I will make more videos covering more bits of the theory. This video was rushed because I did try to put this out for the Minecraft movie, and this is also my first, actual high-quality video. So please, if you enjoyed, I know that this is, a cringe YouTuber thing, but, please at least you don't have to subscribe. Like the video, it'll help the algorithm pick it up. But if you really enjoyed the video and you want to potentially get notified if I ever decide to make another video, you can subscribe and change the notifications to all, not personalized, because YouTube does change the recommendations. Again, thank you for watching this video. I have been working on this theory for a long time, and I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next video.